quite fast. We won't show that. That's a different thing. Let's see.
Oh, Barbara.
I can,
I don't know, I'm just looking at you guys.
Does anyone know if Barbara was
Yeah, I
going
mean, they
somewhere for
already got
lunch
too
or?
much data.
no, I don't.
What happened
So
to
flash.
Jean Marie? I
You
thought
call
she was
bullshit?
coming back. Yeah, I thought she was
What
coming
happened
to
to
her.
her? I wouldn't
Yeah, I
have
haven't got a
called
contact
her.
details.
Checked out and didn't come back.
I just heard it out
Does
so
anyone
Friday.
have
Okay,
Jean Marie's
but
details?
I think that when we disagree with something, we should speak up.
Hell yeah.
And that's one reproach I have to do to Americans.
All right.
We don't
There you go.
speak out when we don't, or you don't, or you get idiots. We don't speak out when we don't disagree.
Right.
And we're polite, and a bit too much, a bit too
Oh,
much.
she's
I think
And
you're
it's
right.
probably my French side that is not as polite.
I had a lot of experience that. I had to walk around, I was afraid Bill would put his moderator hat on. I better get out of here.
That's the rest.
Mine goes that chair to that.
Oh, really? It's that big? Well, I'll be seated right there.
Oh, you weren't gonna stand and talk, you're gonna sit first? I can get that.
I'm gonna stand, I think.
That's, okay, so that's what I was aiming at that way.
What if I stand in that? That would be less crap. That would be easy.
What is the information to me that are
Is that
following
we
that?
have to get her in the phone.
Now we have to sit down.
I think that whole thing was very better.
I don't have a problem.
Oh, excuse me. Hello. Does everybody know about dinner tonight?
Tell me.
Yes.
We've booked a table for a Thai restaurant at 6 o'clock. I mean, you don't have to be there then, it's between 6 and 6:30. And it's at the, Chris has got all, actually Denise has got all the details. So can you please go and see Denise for all the details or organise it amongst yourselves, because in case I get caught up with that, because I can't remember the name of it at the moment.
Is it in the hotel or no?
No, it's in Bullhead City, so we need
Oh
to
my
carpool.
goodness.
Right across the river.
Yeah. Okay.
It's a swim away.
Oh,
Yeah, so we can carpool. And so,
Thank you.
yeah, can we take the boat taxi
Yeah, she'll be here.
across? Can we, sorry, take the boat taxi across? I don't know, oh, well.
Wouldn't that be fun?
Yeah.
I saw today, they have little boat taxis out
Oh,
there.
okay, well, why don't we find out?
I'm gonna take,
Can someone do that? Can someone do their homework? Sure, that'd be That's a good idea.
Haven't gotten to drag it
So,
today.
that's something we can hastily organize.
Yeah.
I learned my
Shall we kick off?
Right, might give it first.
Okay, right, we can start. Okay, folks, so working backwards then, we've got a Thai meal this evening, which sounds like fun. We've got a table in a quiet place, it's not a casino, and so there's an opportunity for us to get around to have a little kind of celebration thing together. We have to be out of this room at 5, again, just to remind myself as well as to remind you guys.
Less than 3 hours.
So the clock is ticking, and before that, Jim is going to do his thing. Now, I don't know exactly what Jim's going to do, I've got a rough idea. He's going to show us how this biofeedback machine works. Some of you know a little bit about it, some of you know more than others. It's very, very interesting, I can attest to it. And he's going to do some fun things with us, and I don't know quite what he's going to do, but he's going to do some stuff. I guess we'll find out. Yeah, we'll find out. And I believe he's also going to do a demonstration of regression, which will be a bunch of fun. And so, without any further ado, do we have the cameras rolling? I don't know.
Yes, sir.
Okay, very good. So,
Okay.
you take the floor.
Okay, hello there.
Hello there.
All right, so, what we're going to do today is we're going to do a little bit of spiritual exercises, not exorcisms, just exercise. But I think I'll come in as a basically what I do as a counselor is probably one of the reasons this auditing works pretty effectively on people is because there are fundamentals of existence. in the physical universe and in the mental universe and even in the spiritual universe. And so I've been studying this stuff for a long time, and so I'm privy to a lot of like workable basic things that work. And that is why it's effective. And I think the first thing that we would be looking at is well, basically reality is pretty simple. Reality is basically agreement. And it's like if you're doing things that in a group, like and you're all in agreement, well, that's going to be your reality. Like you gotta admit, this little group that we're in right here has a different reality than most of the people in this casino.
Very true.
So this is our universe that we have going. This is what we're creating. And so this like reality is an incredibly important thing. And you can like if you got a partner, you got a family, or even your work. If you're in a low reality, you know it out of agreement with everybody, I can probably assure you it's going to be a miserable existence. But when you have a high reality amongst the people, well, then there will be interchange, and that's interchange is your communication. So there's another key part to this whole thing also, and it's called affinity. And so affinity is kind of like has different scales and levels. In affinity, part of the affinity is the emotional scale. And there is an emotional scale, and it was strangely enough discovered in auditing, actually, and where people would go through like a really rough incident, and they just couldn't confront it. It was awful. It was terrible. It was below apathy. It was some of these incidents that you may have to confront in your spiritual quest are very difficult. Because there is a certain part of the mind, and we call it the reactive mind, but frankly it could be called the unconscious mind, but it's based on stimulus response. It doesn't differentiate real well. It thinks in A equals A equals A equals A. One thing equals another, it equals another, equals another, equals another. And frankly, that is how that mind kind of functions. It's a lower order of mind. It's kind of like based on animals kind of function on reactive. Like, you know, you get a dog hurt in a certain area, you don't want to go near that area anymore. Because that area equals pain equals not survival. So, you know, it's a much like that. So basically what I do, and it does appear that most of you asked this one question, why can't you remember other lifetimes? And it's part of it is that we've been around as a long time as spiritual beings. I'll let you know about this. It's a lot longer than a few hundred years or a few thousand years. In fact, we're immortal spiritual beings. That's what we really are. And we do have a body, but we aren't bodies. But we do have them, and you should take care of them, because when you don't have it, then you got to find another one usually, because it's easier to communicate when you got a body. It's about that simple. I'm going to make this kind of simple, but it is something like that. So as immortal spiritual beings, we've had a long and gnarly time track, you might call it that. It's by a period of time that we've been existing. And we've been existing for one hell of a long time, in lots of different identities. And another interesting aspect of this is that us as spiritual beings have our own track of existence, and the body lines have their own track of existence. So that's kind of like called the genetic line. So in the genetic line, I think we have, Bill described it really good about the horse. The genetic line might be the horse, we are the riders. A really excellent analogy, because it's like the difference between, I'm not the computer, I am the operator of the computer, I'm also not the mind. but I do have a mind, and it's like a mind is basically pictures. That's all a mind is. It's basically pictures, and some pictures are just more difficult and harder to confront and have more emotional charge than other pictures. And those would be kind of stuck in that subconscious or reactive mind. And the analytical aspect of the mind is what you use to do your figuring out. So it's like, you know, what you drive the car with, what you do your computer programming with, that's all analytical. And that mind it works on associative and differentiative logic. Like it splits, it's able to see differences. It can associate different datums, but it works on a higher order. So basically what I've been doing for most of this lifetime is kind of getting rid of these blocks and barriers, and you can sort this stuff out and get to where the mind is just not bugging you. You can get rid of emotions, it can get rid of fears. A lot of this stuff stems from just incidences that you once just didn't go right on your time track. That's about, that's an easy way to put it. Or it was very painful. You know, like I used to have a shoulder that dislocated, and I ran this thing out early on, and the shoulder doesn't dislocate anymore. It was the mental image pictures have enough force to actually throw out body parts, affect function, neurological functions and things. I'm not saying this is the only way to go free, but this is a way that you can go free, and it's actually a very standard way. It's nice to have a technology that is pretty standard, because there's one right way to do things, and there's probably an infinity of ways to do it wrong. So we are fortunate beings. I've been very fortunate this life to experience all this. Bill has done a tremendous amount of work too, and the rewards is like as a spiritual being, you attain these things that you hear about, like like a static kind of a state as a being, which is kind of like you just get really big as a person, and it isn't so much like we really are as spiritual beings. We are infinite. We are an infinite being. We just are kind of stuck here on this planet, kind of doing our little loops regularly, and it just doesn't. It's hard to get out of the trap. So if you gotta, if you want to get out of the trap, well, I can probably help you with this. And there's a few other folks that can do this also. Anyways, like I said, I've been doing this a long time, and who would like a little demonstration of the power of communication? Okay, good. All right. Well, what I'm going to do here, there's a couple things. It's going to give you a lot of affinity with each other, a lot of reality, and you're going to really get in communication. And there's another benefit of this actually kind of turning you into a group. And I bet this won't even take 5 minutes. You think I can pull this off in 5 minutes? Okay, everyone stand up. All right. The command on this is very simple, and I'll let you know when we're done with this thing. Yeah, move that camera, please, and that way, because you're going to be moving around. Okay, the command is touch somebody. Start. Good. Touch somebody. Good. Touch somebody. Good. Touch somebody.
But he moves. You didn't say move.
Move. Oh, good. Good. Okay, touch somebody. Good. Touch somebody. Good. Touch somebody. Not people. Touch somebody. Good. Touch somebody. Good. Touch somebody. Good, touch somebody. Good, touch somebody. Good, how you guys doing? All right, in the process. All right.
I didn't take my pen.
It's going to take 5 minutes. This is very
Don't attempt it.
Don't try that by yourself.
Yeah, don't try it by yourself. If it isn't fun, you're
Why
doing
was it so fun?
well, because you were really good at communication. Maybe doing it knowingly as well, and that was your first audit.
It was
Anyway.
so we laughed.
Yeah, so if it isn't fun, you're doing something wrong. You gotta have fun going.
Well, you should have said inappropriately.
I didn't tell you that. Anyways, you guys did good. All right, so basically, who in this room thinks that they're a spiritual being? Okay, who knows that they're just a body? Just a body. Okay. Who's wondering if they're a spiritual being? What do you think you are?
I don't know, man. It depends on what we label it.
Well, what's a soul? Okay, are you a life unit or are you just a hunk of meat?
I don't know about light. I'll go with energy. I'll go. There's a soul within a body, and there are threads of energy interwoven that pull the two together. How about that?
Okay, I can that's pretty accurate. You see, these are like questions that have been like on everybody's mind for a long time. And how the hell do you prove there's a soul anyways? Now, she's doing a good job on doing research down identity track, but it's like really the trick is, I've audited tens of thousands of hours of people, and we've run lots of identities, and it goes, God, to how far back it goes sometimes, but it goes where it goes. You run it until you get to the basic incident where the guy feels good and that problem is resolved. That's basically, and who you were or what you did, relatively, the importance of these things is, if you feel good, then it was a successful process. That's about what it's at. And so an auditor doesn't do an invalidation or evaluation on this stuff. I don't tell you a thing to think about. I give you a question, you got to come up with the answer, and that's about where it goes. And we just run it till you feel good, and the meter sort of helps me. And I'm going to attempt for those that got an idea that they could be a spiritual being. And there's a lot of stuff around us as spiritual beings. You got lots of pictures, and of course you got a body here, and you can be like stuck in various like upsetting moments in time and stuff. So this is kind of like, I'm going to give it an attempt, because, but I'm going to try to demonstrate to you that you as a spirit exist, and that they about 100 and something years ago, some guy put a bed on a scale, and they found that when at the moment of death, it was about 1.5 ounces to 2 ounces left. And this was done on hundreds of people. So as an experiment, it appears we weigh about 1.5 ounces as spiritual beings. Now, as far as size, how big are we? Some people think they live in the middle of the head. Some people don't think they live in the middle of the head. Some think they're, wherever they are. Some are stuck in incidents not even in this life. So that's one of those funny things about the mind. You have to sort of clear away the mind stuff so that we can get to you as the being. But I am going to give it a shot here, and we'll see what happens. On this is if you don't have any real perception on it, basically go with the concept of it and go along for the ride and take it for what it's worth as an interesting exercise. And but I'm going to probably demonstrate to you that I don't know exactly what size we are as a being, but it could just be based on our considerations. So the thing that we ought to look at is in rough times in life, you often feel small, or you feel like affect, and you feel like you're hardly anything. And so that's a lie, because you are about to the degree you think you really are, and in size. And so here we go. Okay, here's the command. Be 3 feet in back of your head. Be 3 feet in back of your head. You as a spirit, be 3 feet in back of your head.
What if your head isn't 3 feet big?
Go 4 feet. Go 4 feet.
I just want to make sure I understand.
Be 3 feet in back of your head. And if that don't work, try not to be 3 feet in back of your head.
Oh, you're talking about outside. I'm thinking
Outside.
inside. I'm thinking inside. I'm like, I don't think my head's that big.
No,
Okay.
we want you as a being to
Got it.
actually get out of the body right at this moment. Anybody achieve that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who else? You? Oh, well, good. Hey, raise your hand when you feel you complied with the command. You? Okay, fair enough. The concepts are okay. Okay, so back there, 3 feet in back of your head, I would like you to mock up what they call anchor points, and I'd like everybody to put an anchor point, which is like a point of view to that corner and that corner. Can you do that?
I don't understand what you're asking.
Put a beam and put like a point where you're looking at, and kind of stick it there. It's like a mental exercise. It's an
From
anchor.
where I am, or 3
Yeah,
feet behind?
as a being.
Okay,
We're talking to you now,
okay,
not your body.
okay.
Did you do that?
Yes, sir.
Excellent. Now put 2 more back behind you. So you're gonna have a space like 4 of them. Okay, you got that? Yeah. Okay. Now put another 2 in those corners in the back. You got that?
Yeah.
Good. Now put 2 more out there. So we should have like a cube right here. Has anyone not done that? Well, that's pretty positive.
Well, wait, I don't want to cheat. I mean, are we supposed to actually be seeing or just?
Yeah, you can get the concept.
It's like
Okay.
put your attention in those areas.
You can't really cheat, because it's like, believe it or not, when I give you this command, you're probably doing it. Except it may not be that real to you. Because reality is a little bit of a gradient scale. You just don't become really aware like instantly. It's you gotta work at this stuff. So
I'll give you some feedback, just if it helps.
Yeah.
I haven't done this before, okay? I have not done this before. I'm feeling big and light.
good. Yeah. Do you feel a little more space?
Yes.
You're not like a little tiny thing and sticking in the middle of the head right at the moment, are you? Okay, well that's a positive thing. Okay, so let's assume we're this space. Okay, so let's put some anchor points out and yeah, come on in. You're gonna have to catch up. Bad to come in the middle of a big crew process. So we just got everybody out of their heads. Be 3 feet back your head. Got it? Good. Now put out some anchor points behind you in the corner, upper corners. That'd be like putting out like a beam and sticking them in the back there. You got that? Good. Put them in the front. You're excellent. And now put some 2 more in that. Well, you guys can redo it again while I'm hatting him up. Good. You got that? Good. And then do 2 more in those back corners. So should have a cube here, okay?
8 total.
A cube, or like a movie.
I like it.
An 8-sided, whatever that is. Anyways, good. All right. So now we're going to. I'd like you guys to expand your space out into the lobby. Also now. Okay. You can take any of these corners in that room and put some anchor points and feel comfortable. Putting anchor points out stabilizes you guys. That's why we're doing this anchor point thing. Okay. Good. All right. So, anybody feel like they haven't done that? All right. All right. Excellent. Excellent. All right. So, it's time to go into the casino. So let's go downstairs, one floor down, and we still are going to have the space up here, and you're just going to expand your space into the casino. And if you guys can have any kind of perception of what you're seeing, or hearing, or smelling, raise your hand. Oh yeah? What do you see and hear?
It feels like I'm there. It feels like I'm looking at it with the camera.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm right there.
Good. Yeah. What?
Negative.
Okay. Yes.
Bells and the sense of carbonated drinks and straws.
Good. Spot an old lady in there and say hi to her. Mentally, spiritually. No, there's plenty of old ladies down there. Just pick one. Anyway. Say you're going to win something. All right. That'll make you feel better. Okay, good. It's okay to have fun as a spiritual being. This is part of the point. Like, it's been way too serious. Way too serious. Okay. So we're about as big as this casino, right?
Yep.
Okay, let's take in the parking lot now.
Can I just encompass the whole earth over? Because I think.
Oh, okay, you're already jumping. All right. You always get these guys that got to
Show
jump the
off,
guys.
yeah.
Anyways, we will get to that. Okay. Well, okay, jumping the gun guy. Let's go Nevada and California.
Oh, yeah. Yay.
That's all. Those are nice states. Okay, yeah, she did it. Oof. All right, so, all right, let's speed this up. Let's take the West Coast. All the way up to Canada. I mean, you know, you can go to Canada. You're into that. All right.
But not Alaska.
Okay. So we got the West Coast. We should probably take this up to like Montana or something. Montana to Mexico, West Coast. Have we got that? Have we got that?
Yeah.
Anyone hasn't got it? Okay. Everyone's doing very good. Okay. Then I'd say, do you want to do half of America or do you want to do all of America?
All of America.
Okay, all of America.
Continent.
Okay, Canada. Okay, America, Canada. Gotta get the Canadians. Good. So you're all the way out to the Nova Scotia?
Yeah.
Wow. Good. Okay. Yeah, right. So now let's do the planet. Let's do the planet, the whole planet. And so, you know, you got to recognize that you can be the size of this planet. So if somebody gives you a bad day. I once had a guy point a gun at me, and I did this, and I became the size of the planet, and his problem was not that big a deal. You got to remember, you're not this big, guys. You're big. Okay. So, who hasn't done the planet? All right. So, I would think it's probably time to get out to the moon now.
Yeah.
All right. All the way Earth to moon. The whole space. That kind of space. You guys are that big. You're that big. You're being that space. And if you want to go on the other side of the moon, go on the other side of the moon. Is there a base there? Who says there's a base there? Okay, good. That's so that you can really find out too much stuff. You know, don't spread it all over the internet like we're doing it at the moment. Anyways, but it's that simple. And yes, you can go in those spaces if you want to. Anyways, the Greys and things do know this kind of stuff too. So, but you're a big spiritual being. They aren't that big, believe it or not. They really don't have this tech. All right, so let's go out to Mars. Earth to Mars. Good, good. Does it feel, do you feel it? Do you feel the space? Do you feel it?
It's getting harder.
Is it, did I skip a gradient?
I don't know.
Okay. Hey, well, it's that, okay, go out to the sun too. All right, go out to the sun. And okay, let's just show how impervious you guys are. Go in the sun. You as spiritual beings won't get burnt out. Okay, you're immortal and impervious, basically. But you have had some aberrative moments on your track of existence. Okay, so now let's do a big jump. Let's do the solar system. The solar system, the entire solar system. Looks like everyone's on there. Can anyone be in perception with each other while we're out there? To the best you can. It's okay to just mock this up. But anyways, well done. Okay, here we go. Double it. Double your space. Good. Double it. Good. Double it again. And double it again. Good. How do you like that space?
Wow.
Okay. End of process.
Yay. Good one.
So yeah, it's good, and you can stay out there. You got your, I mean, but that's our size. Our size is, I don't know what our size is, but I've left the physical universe. And I could probably do that to all you guys if I felt like. But you can do that, but it helps to have your basics in case-wise, so that you're not like, you know, like all like in mystery, basically.
I did feel myself at one point, I think it was on the third double, big one, I got disoriented and a bit dizzy.
Yep.
So I did think about the points.
The anchor point?
Yes.
And that stabilized you?
Yes.
Well done, you're a natural. Anyways, yeah, we all know this. We've just kind of forgotten a lot of these operating techniques. So basically, that's what I wanted to show you. I mean, I could talk for a long time on this stuff, but you know, we got to move right along. And if anybody got questions or comments, I'm open.
I feel like lightheaded.
Yeah, you're out of your body. You're probably
Yeah,
not a care in the world, right?
Yeah, it's
Hey.
like really calm and lightheaded.
That's what it's like, and that's what we are supposed to be like. And this is a temporary state, because you know, you go back in the casino, and but you get rid of all of the mess and the pictures and the weird stuff, and you sort it out. And I actually live like this all the time, as far as emotional and space-wise, and it's normal now. It feels good.
There's more oxygen.
Huh?
There's more oxygen.
Yeah.
You know, you can breathe.
I think it's much healthier being out of your body, to be quite honest.
It also makes me feel like I'm out of my body, but just a little bit in this area.
Yeah, and you're in control. Yeah, it's not a big mystery thing. People have taken advantage and mocked up weird secret societies and weird devil cults, and you don't need to do any of that. I mean, all of us can be good white magicians on sorting out the universe's problems. I mean, you can do stuff like this as a being, kind of, you know.
I don't know, man. You never know, those Aztecs ripping people's hearts out. They might have got a rush out of it.
Hey, you know, the nice thing about that thing is that, you know, obviously they were doing this for some kind of crazy aberrative reason, or it's probably some worship thing. But you know, a lot
They
of people
understood some kind of dark entity astral realm where they really were doing
Hey,
something.
you know, you know, it's like it is best to have a pretty good grounding on the fundamentals and basics, because there is weird shit out there.
There is weird shit out there.
And you know, you were in our safety zone, so I don't think we're going to pull any of that crap in, to be quite honest. But it is out there. It isn't recommended to do this unless you're in pretty good shape, to be quite honest. It's like, there is weird shit out there. There is. So, you know, this is my job. this is one little aspect that I do. And any other comments, questions, anything like that? I'll try to answer honestly on this. No? Okay, well, good.
Curious, have you ever found people who resist doing this? Because I see nothing but disadvantage.
Sure. Sometimes a reactive mind is so against, they just don't ever want to not become a body. This is a particularly, this is a pretty high gradient. But I had a feeling you guys are going to pull it off, because you guys are not normal. I had a feeling everyone would pull this off, but I mean, you know, I might be able to do it to these guys at the machine, but I don't know. That'd be a stiff grade.
You'll need a little more work, probably.
More work, longer, but you guys are an easy group. But it's because you are different. I mean, it's obvious. I mean, you wouldn't be here.
And we've all experienced that, where you talk to somebody and they shut it down, and for almost no reason, they're not even listening.
That's right.
They don't want to try, and they're just holding themselves back, though.
Yeah, well, you know, there's been a lot of losses as a spirit. There is, lots of chains of incidents that we have not done well in. And we've had, the physical universe. By the way, the physical universe is made up of matter, energy, space is actually viewpoint and dimension. And time is the manifestation of change from particle A to particle B. So that's time. It's basically motion through space. And you can get into in dimensions. Well, I would have to say there must be subsections of this stuff. Maybe at a different frequency. I don't know.
Jim and I are going to research this at some time.
We probably got to do a little research on this dimensional thing. But there's a lot of work to do just in this universe, to be quite honest. And the spiritual universe, in what's done correctly, your emotion comes up, your cause level comes up, you're in present time, you feel good, you get things done. When you decide you want something to happen, it usually happens. Now these are like the benefits. These are like, you're not like in a big struggle in life here. You're like 3 times bigger than the frigging solar system. You got a little bit of horsepower here now. If you can hold that, well, this planet Earth doesn't look that bad. It really doesn't. So, anyways, do we want to do the demo now?
You bet.
Okay, so I'm done, unless there's any more questions? All right, so who wants to go in and do a little auditing? Okay, go ahead.
Do you need this chair? Should I move it?
Yeah, he needs a chair.
Okay. It's only 100,000 volts.
I've already been there.
Probably more than that.
Give something to bite on.
You ever had auditing?
Oh, God.
Okay.
You got it?
Are you have you ever looked at other lifetimes?
No.
All right.
Never done any of this, so.
Really?
Nope.
Well, no guarantees what we're going to run into at all. All right. I don't give guarantees. All right.
I don't get my money back.
Yeah. So, what I need is just a very light, gradual squeeze of the can space. Very, not fast, just a gradual, light squeeze. All right. Can everybody see the meter?
Yes.
All right. All right. Squeeze the can, please. Perfect. Okay. So I think I'm going to do some demonstrations on what this thing is called e-meter. It's actually this computer meter is a virtual meter. Where I do my counseling, I usually use a mechanical meter because that's what I've been auditing on for the last 40 years, I guess. I guess I've been auditing 40 years. So, but I like these computer meters because they're handy. I can actually counsel people all over the planet with this thing. It's pretty cool. So, let's what this device does is it registers emotional charge or pain. And so I can tell areas that have areas of upset or you've got a lot of attention because this needle will make a movement. And when the charge is kind of cleared, the needle tends to do something like this. It's called a floating needle. That means we dissipated on that little area, we got the charge gone on that little area. So I'm going to give you what they call a pinch test. You tell me when it hurts, because this is like for demonstration purposes since you came here. Okay, tell me when that hurts? Okay, good. We call the moment of the pinch. Did you guys see that little, there you go. You see the movement? Good. Recall the moment of the pinch. Just a little bit, and now recall the moment of the pinch. Pretty much no more movement. So it only took 2 times to basically clear the mental image pictures that registered that pain. You know, I mean, you might have your sore arm, but you got no mental image pictures on that now. So that's another thing. Now, this device can actually do all sorts of interesting things. So consider the events of today. Okay, you just had a thought. Now go back and think of something else, and then come back to that thought at some time. And was that the same thought? Mm-hmm. Good. So basically, I can tell what was the same thought that guy had. It was because it registered the same thing. So this is handy in counseling because it's like it lets me know when I ask him a question, I see that there was a register, and then he goes off and thinks of other things, and then I see that same read again. That was what we were looking at, but for some reason he didn't fully communicate. Isn't that handy? Yeah, that's a handy device, right? Okay, so I guess we might as well start session. Are you well fed?
No.
You didn't eat?
I'm always hungry.
Oh.
Yeah.
Did you eat? Okay. Are you well rested?
Yes.
Okay. Is it okay if, is this room comfortable enough to do a little demonstration auditing?
Yes.
Okay, you're willing?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, then start a session. All right. So, anything your attention is on?
Yeah.
You know what?
Being outside.
As a being?
Mm-hmm.
Tell me about it.
Sunshine.
Mhm.
Water. Absorbing, basically the sunshine.
Good. Is that with or without a body?
I would say that's with the body.
Okay. And is that like an incident you, as a pleasure moment kind of an incident?
Mm-hmm.
Good. All right. Well, what were you looking at then?
People.
Yeah? Tell me about it.
Just kind of people watching.
Good. What kind of clothes were they wearing?
Mostly shorts, short sleeve shirts,
All right.
tennis shoes,
Good. What sounds did you hear?
cars,
Good. What did you smell?
water,
Good. What was the position of your body when you were watching this?
standing.
Good. So basically I did this, we actually have over 50 perceptions in our mental image pictures. Those were just a few that he recorded. And so you can smell, you can see body position, you can, I could get into all sorts of different things, but I just kind of, and we can fine tune these up, and this helps make a better memory. Will a clear have a perfect memory? I don't know, but you'll have probably a better memory than most. And but it's like everybody's different. So there are no absolute states that you attain on this stuff, but you do get more cause and feel better. Okay, so is there any kind of incident that's upsetting you? Good. All right. And do you had a incident that you think might be some other life?
I wouldn't know.
Really? Have you suspected it or dreamed about something? What was that thought? That. What is that? Yeah. What is it?
Usually the same dream.
Yeah, what is it?
It's more of a feeling than it is an explanation.
Tell me.
Um, Try to describe that.
Uh-huh.
More of being some place that you can see that you can't really get to. I guess is the best way to describe it.
Interesting. And what's around in that area? What's the surroundings? You have a body or not?
No,
No body.
no.
Okay. Is it on this planet or somewhere else?
That seems to be on this planet.
This planet where?
Different places. Place I used to live. Outside.
Yeah, where?
Different places, different states.
Hmm. Is it like a state of mind?
I don't know what it is.
What's that thought? You got a thought there.
I don't, it's
Go
hard
on.
to describe.
You go through your
That's what
best.
I was trying to describe. It's more of a feeling.
Uh-huh. What is that exact feeling?
I guess it would be like a euphoric, almost like floating
Yeah,
type of, but you're not sure where you're at.
right. Yeah, but you had a body, but you felt, were you think you were in the body or not in the body?
I think I was in it,
But you were feeling great.
yes.
Good. Did something go on before that?
No,
You just felt like right.
yeah. It's
Good.
just something that reoccurs.
Right. And was it this life?
Yeah.
It was. When?
When I was younger,
Mm.
even up to now, so.
Wow. Well, that's pretty good. Anything more you'd like to say about it?
That's about all I can say.
Yeah? You like to have that state more often?
Yeah. It'd be nice. It'd be nice to figure that what it is, that's reoccurring.
Or any ideas?
At this point, no.
I see. Well, look a little before. What's that thought?
Being young,
Yeah? What happened there?
it's-
Yeah?
I don't know.
Did someone say to you, "Oh, you're not supposed to know that"?
No, probably my dad.
Yeah? What did he say?
Probably about flying in airplanes.
Uh-huh.
Because he used to be a pilot. So
Oh.
I always look forward to doing that.
Ah. Very nice.
Kind of relate that to it. That would be before having those types of dreams.
Right. So does this have something to do with flying?
It might. I don't think so, no.
Okay. Well, is there an earlier similar time like this?
No, that would be probably the earliest.
That is the earliest. And how old do you think you were?
It had to be 3 or 4.
Is this your earliest recollection?
Yeah, because he was gone when I was 4, so
He was gone.
Yeah.
What do you mean?
they got divorced.
Oh. Was that a loss? No big deal. Okay.
Hope the better.
Was it? Were there a lot of stress and arguments going on around you?
Yeah, he just wasn't a good person.
Well, what did he do?
You name it.
You name it. You tell me.
A lot of step families. I think I had 3 different step families. Stepmoms,
Ah.
and they always come first.
Oh.
Before we did, myself, my brothers, sister. So, nothing really lost there.
No loss. Okay. And so, tell me a little bit more about this good feeling that you'd always have around that time.
I guess it would be state of mind. You know, where you're going on an adventure. That type of feeling.
Good.
Let's say looking through a small square that you know you can't fit through. But then once you visualize it, you're kind of there. I guess is how I could describe it.
Good. Did you make any decisions?
Not really.
Okay. And why'd you go there as an incident? What's the significance of
I
this?
don't know. I think it's more of a feeling
Uh-huh.
than it is like an experience.
Okay. So it's just a moment of feeling good.
Mm-hmm.
It's that simple.
Pretty much, yeah.
Well, okay. Any more you'd like to say about it?
That's about it.
All right. That's good. And is there anything else you haven't quite mentioned yet?
Regarding,
Anything?
not really, no.
Okay. There was a moment where you it felt kind of clear for you right there, wasn't there? And it felt pretty good. Yeah, there was a brief what they call floating needle, where the needle went back and forth real quick. It was just brief, but it's sometimes like that. But we are auditing under a condition of like a whole room of people, and you're doing pretty good. Anything else you'd like to say before I end off?
No.
Good.
It's been good.
Well, thank
It's a
you.
good time.
Good. End of session. Good. Good. End of session. That's all right. Yeah, he did amazing because, I mean, gee, he's auditing in a whole bunch of people, rather personal incident. But this, you know, it's like you pick up what comes up. And I do have lots of different questions I could have asked him, but this was like a little bit like how we run one of these things is off the cuff. So, you know, I wasn't going for anything painful necessarily. I just thought I'd come up with what he felt like coming up with. And that is like a proper way to counsel, no force. He felt good at the end. I got a quick floating needle, and that's like a significance that something kind of released. Yes?
Did you use a bit of hypnosis on him or not at all?
Did what?
Did you hypnotize him?
Absolutely not. There is no hypnotism. In fact, hypnotism puts you to sleep. Well, I'm trying to wake him up. We don't do hypnotism we might run out hypnotism because a lot of people are hypnotized. And they might feel hypnotized, but no, I do not hypnotize. Everything, you obviously know, there were no particularly, I didn't tell him what to think. I was, you know, trying to get if there was something there that had some charge to handle. But this just appeared to be a pleasure moment for him, those are very therapeutic pleasure moments. All right.
What does the needle do when it's clear? He said it just.
Well, it went back and forth, you know, like it did one of these. It's called a floating needle. The needle went back and forth, just a kind of fleeting.
And it doesn't matter where it is on that.
That's
scale.
right.
I don't know anything about Scientology.
It doesn't matter at all.
Okay.
It just showed that he had a slight. It was probably something clear.
I understand.
Basically, when you said that, I just kind of went through everything I was thinking about. And that's what you.
Yeah, and that's how fast the mind is. Yeah, there was something, but it just went just like that. So that's and as you can tell, that's how I found that thing. Because if you guys were watching, you must have seen that needle move. And so we can use this because usually when that happens, it basically, these meters work on the resistance changes when mental image pictures come in because they have mass except on a mental level. So it changes the resistance on the body. And so luckily for us, everything is instant. The mind is instant. Like that's how the auditing works. Your first thought in life is usually the correct thought. The more you go over it and work it and work it and work it and work it, you grind it to death. You overrun it to death. And that usually is like it is to the death. It's like not, like I say, it should feel good. And it should actually be relatively easy, although some incidents might be tough every now and then. Especially the painful ones or the ones with losses. But it feels good to have a good grief charge every now and then. Because once you're through it, you feel great. So any other questions?
I'm wondering about another demonstration. I was almost about to offer myself as an example, as a subject, but I might not be a good subject for a whole bunch of reasons, including the fact I'm very tired. But a lightweight opportunity. I'm actually genuinely worried about my dog. Okay, and it's a kind of problem, and it's important for me because if my dog's okay when I get back, then it means I'll be able to do it again. And if something dreadful has happened, then I'll be discouraged from doing this again. And so, it's a sort of lightweight example of one of life's little problems here that we humans run up against. I don't think I would be. It would be a good idea for me to do this, but I'm wondering if someone else has got something like that. It's not some kind of something heavy and personal and embarrassing, but it's actually something that they've got some attention on.
Yeah,
that they might be able to just work on.
Yeah, I'll do another person. If someone would like, let's have some fun. Who's had like a recurring thought, and it's probably not in this life? Like like a picture or incident where you got an impression of something.
I know.
Okay, come on up. A brave guinea pig.
Next year, Steve's had a lot of sleep and
I slept good last night.
hasn't had a bunch to drink and all this kind of stuff.
You haven't drank too much.
I haven't had a drink since I've been in the state of Nevada.
Hey, excellent. All right. Yeah, alcohol kind of gets in the road. Good. What's your name again?
Steven.
Hey, Steven. All right. Squeeze the cans, please. Yeah, very good. That's fine. Good. So is it okay if we do a little session here?
That's fine.
Good. Are you hungry or tired?
No.
Excellent. Start a session. Okay. So tell me what your tension's on.
The recurring vision that I have had is being a single guy living in a tenement in England, someplace above the 3rd floor.
Yep. And tell me more.
It's gray, it's always nighttime. I've never been able to see the person. I think it's myself.
Okay. And is it anybody else around?
I know that the tenement building is full of tenants, and I'm one of them. Or this person this particular person who lives on either the 3rd floor or above is a particular person.
Right. Okay. Let's treat it as an incident of some kind. I don't even know what do you think? Was that just living in this tenement, or do you think something happened?
I don't know.
All right. Well, how long did you live there? That
I
first.
think it was me.
Good. How long?
I was in my 20s.
Good. How long did you live there?
I think I lived there for more than several years.
Okay. Go to the beginning of that incident. Yeah.
No, I can't.
Okay.
I don't know what happened before I arrived.
I'll repeat the command. The first thought. Go to the beginning of that incident.
I'm floating outside of the building looking at this person that I think is me.
Okay. And when was it?
This was in the 1800s, possibly 1700s.
Good. And how long did that
This was
incident?
in the 1800s, not the 1700s.
Oh, excellent. How long did that incident last?
There was no incident that I was aware of.
Oh, okay. Well, we'll just treat it as the period of time you lived there as an incident.
Okay.
Good. How long did that last? How long did you live there?
Several years.
Good. So from the beginning of that incident, move through the end, move through that incident to the end, and tell me what you see as you're moving through. Yeah.
Accomplishment.
Like what?
Coming up with something new in this tiny apartment.
Yeah, go on.
It was part of the Industrial Revolution. I don't know what happened.
That's fine. You feel like you're at the end?
No.
All right. Well, what's kind of stopping it? Right there. What is that?
There's nothing stopping it.
Oh,
There's nothing stopping it.
okay. Well, what are you looking at then? There is something. That?
It has to do with music.
Okay, continue.
Have I come up with a recording device?
You tell me. What's that?
I'm working on something that has never been seen before, but is common today. I don't know what it is. I think it's a tape recorder. I think it's a tape recorder of some kind.
Well, okay. Any more to the incident? Any more to the story? To get it built?
Okay, let's just check the water, so.
I'm not coming up with anything.
All right. Well, very good. Thank you. Go to the beginning of the incident. Let's look at it again.
I'm still floating outside of the building, looking inside of this apartment building. That was the beginning.
Excellent. Move through to the end of that incident.
I've come up with something that's never been seen before. I think it's a tape recorder. I've been working on it for a long time.
All right. Excellent. Any more to this?
Who is this person? When did this happen? What is it? What is it that this person is working on? Is it me? Or is it me looking at this person? I don't know.
Okay. Well, was there any other person in the room?
No.
So,
It's a single guy.
Good. Is it you?
I think it is.
That seems to indicate. Good. You want to get a name?
I don't care about the name.
Fair enough. Was there any more to the incident? Was there did you get it built? Was there any losses? Anything happen?
I don't know what happened. I would like to know what happened. I don't know what happened.
Well, look past that. Extend that incident out a little bit. There you go.
It's successful. I'm in the park with a woman. We're happy.
Excellent. Any decisions made?
We're happy that we're happy. We're just happy. We're just happy that it's all done. That it was successful. We're happy to be in the park. We don't want to be in a place else.
Well, that's excellent. You need to just vote. Anything else you'd like to say?
No.
All right, you ready to end off?
Yes.
Good. End of session.
Thank you.
it didn't, well, there's a lot of different needle manifestations. You get them all during, you see, basically, there's flows and stuff in these things, so that needle actually registered like stuck energy, but at a certain point there where it shows that there was a bit of a release, and that's where the needle flowed. Still, stuck needles can register that there was something that, well, there's a whole, we've actually got all sorts of different manifestations on what these different needles mean. I can tell when somebody's not withholding. I can tell when somebody's got like evil feelings. I can tell where there's charge. I can tell when the thing is ended, and it's makes it easy and fast. It's like, you know, it's a great little tool. Yeah.
So when he realized that it was successful and that it was him and that he was in the park and it was a happy ending, is that what released the charge?
I guess so.
I'd like to ask Steve,
Appear to
how
be.
he's feeling. Steve, how are you feeling?
Okay.
Just combobulating.
Is this good?
It's not bad.
You know, we are kind of doing this off the cuff under, you know, normally you're not doing this stuff in a group room here.
Yeah.
And, you know, and, you know, we are just kind of winging it. Usually I don't open up cases exactly like this, to be quite honest. So, hey, you know, this is all demonstration purposes, but everybody's doing good because honestly, you guys are a special crew. There's just no doubt about it.
I'd like to really thank Steve for being so open as to be willing to just talk about something unknown in front of a group and the camera for them. So, I mean, thank you.
Have you ever seen yourself in that park
Yes.
as a woman
No.
after the fact?
No,
Really?
Wow.
no,
So this was actually really healing to a certain degree.
I'm just combobulating.
You answered some questions that we had, right?
Hey, you know, sometimes you do get, you don't get everything resolved in one little session, I can tell you that. And we've been around a long time, and we've done a lot of things, and so, hey, auditing takes as long as it takes, but it feels good, and it helps people, and you can, I mean, one session, I once did a lady, a friend of ours, and she's, you know, where I'm picking up leaves in the front yard, she comes over, says, yeah, my Susie says that you're a counselor. I go, yeah. He says, well, you know, and I says, yeah, I can help you in this life. He says, yeah, but I got an incident from last life. So we basically started the session, and I had to handle her last life, or actually several lifetimes ago, before we could even address any of the very traumatic experiences she had in this life, which was rather interesting. Just that I actually, you know, normally I like to handle this life first. It's easier grading.
That kind of work backwards. So.
Yeah, and then you get to a certain point, and all of a sudden these pictures start coming up, like, you know, whatever, and you handle them. I mean, that's how we discovered this stuff. Is I think when they first started out with this auditing, they were doing a lot of prenatal stuff, and yeah, prenatal, yeah, the prenatal baby does feel things and is aware. It's just how it is. And so, and then as people went earlier and earlier, they started jumping into other lifetimes. And so you got a technology. First we had to have a technology of the mind, and then it seemed like from there it was a lot easier to handle the spirit thing, which is another whole technology. And but it's best to have that mind cleared out first. And then it's you're just more stable, because you're the one that said there's some weird shit out there. And
I think we can all agree there's some weird shit out there.
You're right, my friend.
Yeah.
Well, I noticed he didn't pinch you. Is that because you're a bass player?
I found myself following both of them and anticipating everything they were saying.
Wow.
But that doesn't mean I experienced it. However, I ended up experiencing it with them.
Well, you know,
not sure.
I always treated auditing like me and another being are walking through his universe together.
Yeah.
And you guys were, in a way, you were very good auditors in a way. I mean, it is pretty simple. Keep your mouth shut most of the time, and you ask a couple key questions, and you don't tell them what to think. You just get them through the frigging incidents, and to a good point. And that's how it's about that simple. Anything else you heard on the net or anywhere else is an arbitrary, and I can't agree with it. This is an amazing technology, and it works.
It feels like a form of invasion of privacy, and yet it isn't.
Well, you know, at a certain point of you can do this, but you got to be pretty good shape. But you can do all this stuff solo, and then the adventure really begins. It's actually pretty cool. And, all right, Bill.
How do you do it solo?
Guiding yourself, like he's just guiding you.
Do you ask yourself a question?
Yeah.
How do you know a question?
You hold these cans,
Watch
and
it
you got all the, as you can see, my needles floating all the time. Because you know I've done a lot of work. I've had a lot of sessions. So you know the needle is nice and loose. That means there's like no charge around. So it's yeah, but it
needs a cool dude on vacation.
That's about it. Anyways, anything else? I think it must be time to move on. You got a question?
Oh, no question, I just want to do it.
Cool. Hey, I've enjoyed it. It's a good thing. So I guess I'll end off if that's all right.
No.
Oh, you want to do
just
it?
duplicate.
Oh, you want to do it? Oh,
Yeah.
okay. 3 of them. God, you're making me work. Here's the can right here.
It's only 3 o'clock if you got
Oh. Yeah, excellent. And we'll let them warm up just a little bit here. So, squeeze the cans very gently, please. That's perfect. Thank you. Are you well fed?
Yes.
Good. Are you tired?
No.
Good. You ready? So you're comfortable to do this?
Yes.
Okay. Start session. And how you doing?
Good.
Good. Is anything your attention is on?
Yes.
Yeah, go ahead, tell me.
I was a child in a garden, and it was supposed to be across the road from me, but it's not across the road from me. That's the impression I get. I'm playing with some beautiful children, and it's a very expansive area, but it's surrounded by some like a garden fence, but I don't know where that is.
I see. Is it in this life?
It's supposed to be.
Mm-hmm. Last life? This life? It does seem like it is this life.
It is this life.
It is this life. How old were you?
I think I was about 5.
Okay, where?
My first home that I remember, just across the road.
This is your first memory?
No,
Oh, okay. So how old were you?
I think I was about 5.
Good. So, and is there anything going on?
Yeah, I'm playing in the garden. I'm playing with these other children.
Okay. And is there something that should be communicated? Did something happen?
No, we're just having a really beautiful time.
Okay. So let's look at this as a pleasure moment then.
Okay.
Good. So what were you smelling then?
I wasn't smelling anything.
Okay. What were the colors?
There's children wearing brightly coloured clothes.
Yeah, what color?
Reds and blues and greens.
Good. What was being said?
There was nothing being said. It was all telepathic.
Oh. What was being telepathically communicated?
Oh, that you're welcome here.
Oh, cool. Interesting. And you were receiving that and giving it?
Yeah, there was a lot of love going Yeah, there's a woman there as well. She's taking care of us.
Wow. Were they friends or were they strangers or what?
They're friends, but I've never seen them before.
Okay. Anything else? Okay. Well, let's see, is there ever an earlier similar kind of incident? Was there?
Yeah, sort of UFO.
Tell me about it.
Craft, silver craft. Hovering in the field.
Mm-hmm. What happened?
Oh, Ben just came to greet me. It's up close. He's long and thin. He's got big eyes. Oh, it's right in front of me. He's got a really small mouth. He's waving at me, sort of waving to me, sort of, in front of me. He's looking at me. He's sort of peering at me. He's really curious about me. Yeah, now I'm in another room. He's showing me around. Oh, some of the other kids just appeared. The one's wearing red and blue and green. Oh, they're showing me a flower. Oh, now they're showing me a meadow. Oh, now they're showing me the planet. And all the stars. They're showing me the earth blowing up. And then they're pointing at me. You have to do something. Right now, right here and now. Now, this being, if he's extending his hand to me, saying, come with me again. And so, these children are also following. And we're in the meadow now, and it's full of flowers. Oh, this is the earth as it could be. Showing me the wide expanse of the blue sky. Oh, I can smell all the beautiful flowers, and I can feel the joy of the children. And there's a lot of hope within all of that. I just got the word inevitability. That we can reach the source of all of this somehow, some way together. And this is all just coming to me from this being who's just talking to me. Okay, all the people in this room. Message now that we all need to. We're all in this together. I feel like I'm actually talking through his mouth. This is really weird. Stay together, be together, do what you need to do together. the spirit of this and feel it intently, and don't take this life for granted. Stay with us, know that we're here with you. Maintain that, grow within that. Use and harness that energy that you have here in this room and beyond this room to uplift and nourish all the other beings in the universe, in this world. Use this space as the opportunity to grow and to connect with each other in ways that you've not been able to imagine. Take it to the next level. Expand. Use this as an opportunity for the fulfillment and potential of all around you and beyond this casino. Let it go to the earth. She's here with you. She's conscious. She's here with you now. She wants you to grow. She wants you to evolve. She wants you to learn. Feel the earth greeting me. She knows that I know that she's an alive conscious being. She says, hello, Warren. Now down to the earth because I can see that she's been waiting for a long time for us to wake up and to acknowledge her, to see her for who she really is, divine being, part of the cosmos. She's very bright. She's so bright. She's so full of this unconditional love for us. She just wants to cradle us and hold us and to let us know that we are, we're everything to her. And she's shown, I'm cradled in her lap, the lap of her, the lap of her warmth and her love and her nurturing and her guidance, and she wants that for everyone. And I just saw a dolphin and it was careering through, jumped out into the water and it was a whale that showed itself to me. And all the sea creatures in the bottom of the ocean, they're sort of going, yeah, come on. Yeah. Starfish in the water and now the ET, he's back here in the picture. So come on, let's show something else. And I'm talking through him again, it's like his mouth is moving and it's coming through me. It's saying, let me show you something else now. Now we're going into a cabin, and there's water. You're showing me fish, saying be like fish. It's dark in that cabin. Oh, there's a little firefly that's now showing itself. And light, and we are that light in the darkness, but we can still be like a fish. And that cavern is the universe. And we're the fish in the universe. And now a bear is showing itself to me, and the bear is it's a big brown bear, and he's a great big grizzly. He's got a great big smile on his face. He's saying, "You're getting it, girl." Oh, the ET's now appeared again. More shiny. Come on, girl. Back in the meadow again. Back with the children. Oh, the little girl, she's appeared to me now. She's whispering in my ear, "I love you." And she's holding a teddy bear. And she's wearing red. Come with me, she's saying. Oh, back in the field again. And there's a red poppy. The poppy's about peace. It's no smell, but she's holding it up to my nose. Can't see anything now.
Thank you. How does that seem?
Yeah, amazing.
Your needle's floating. Very well done.
Thank you.
Good time to end off?
Yeah.
Good. End of session. So there you go.
Wow. Wasn't expecting that.
Hey, that's cool.
I had a weird experience of it. As soon as you asked her, what do you smell? Before she said she did, I had an overwhelming smell of lavender for like 1 full minute before it dissipated.
Wow. Hey, you know, it's the real adventure is the adventure itself. Honest to God. All the answers are within you, or you can get them. You can, if they're not within you, you can find them. You can hunt them out, and it's pretty good.
This is the key. Just let me pause and I have this is the key to the whole thing. The adventure is within yourself. And what you would have noticed there is that once Jim supported Constance to get to the point when she was in the zone and tuning in, he never said a word.
Yeah.
The silence and the space that he held is what then permitted all this to happen. And it wasn't what he was doing, it's what he wasn't doing. Is most counselors and therapists say too much and get in the way. And this is critical to understand. Jim never input anything into that. And this is how Constance owns the entire experience for herself, and now no one can take it away from her because no one gave it to her.
Yeah.
You see, that's the important thing here that we all witnessed. All Jim did was enabled it to happen. She did that. And then Jim just kind of initially steered her into a place when she could do that. And that's what the session does. Is that a good idea?
Yeah, the hardest thing of being an auditor is keep your mouth shut. Unlike psychiatrists, I do listen. There's an old joke about that. Is two psychiatrists were at the having a drink, and they one of them says, "This psychiatry business is exhausting, listening to these people all the time. The other guy goes, who listens? Well, I listen. I don't find it exhausting because I'm here. And that was a pretty special incident. That's very nice.
Yeah, well, that resolves something that I have not known. That has been with me for forever.
Hey, auditing works.
It works. See how simple it is? So simple.
Good, I think I'm done.
Yeah, it's a good point to take a break.
Yep, I agree. Thank you for being a wonderful audience. It really helped, yes.
Where can one learn the skill of auditing?
Well, you know, the Church of Scientology does it, but I train people. I have a few sources, and there's places in Europe and maybe in Russia. There is a planetary thing. So, yeah, I don't work as hard as I used to. But nevertheless, I think it's important to get the skill. It's a great profession. I'm glad I've done it all my life. It's easy now. I mean, you know, I did make it look easy. It's probably not that easy.
Don't go near the Church of Scientology, they will screw you up.
Absolutely. Yeah, I can't recommend it. They have good, I mean, I was trained in the church, but it you know, I can't take it anymore. So that's why I'm out, and it was the best darn thing. But yeah, there is select people, select ones. But I can deliver the whole bridge, higher than what they do. So, yeah. And there's a few others.
Just a question. All this could be done without a needle.
Oh yeah, I can do this without a machine, but it helps.
Yeah.
This little thing helps. It speeds it up. Like it speeds. I can do this without a needle. I mean, without the e-meter. Yeah.
When you said you can get people over the bridge, how much time?
You know, it varies, but I would think plus 100 hours, 150. Yeah. But your state is it's stable. Yeah. You know, like when we did that little exteriorization, wasn't that a nice feeling?
Yeah.
Well, that's how it kind of feels like being clear. It's like it's just there. I mean, it's stable, it's nice, and you've viewed everything that you know. It isn't just for this life. You're basically kind of handling your entire track, and so this stuff goes into other life. I mean, you're good for, it's permanent, man. You take it with you. In fact, the only thing you can take with you at the end of this life is yourself, and in your case. So if you've handled your case, you're gonna just take it yourself for yourself, now you got a glimpse of your size, and yes, you're even bigger than where we took you today. I mean, so yeah, we are. I think we're not really from this material universe. You see, we're life. Life is different than matter, energy, space, time. But we have identified ourselves as in the material universe, but life, frankly, is separate. And that's one of your fundamental truths. And so we're extricating. That is like one of the truths of that and it feels good, right? And each step your confront rises, and it's a gradient, and it's like great different grades, and you go into it, and you just one of them. And it's nice, standard. We got no big mysteries about it. Well, you know, once we take the mind, well, then that was a big deal, because there's been a lot of spiritual practices. I'm sure the Tibetans, you know, the rainbow guys that can seem to, you know, make their bodies go away and all that. That's cool, but now he's got to find a body, I guess, unless he's just going to live without one, which is, you can do that. You can function quite well just without a body, but it seems easier to communicate with a body, don't you think?
Yeah.
Anyway, so they're handy to have.
You can't go mountain climbing without a body.
Yeah, and you can't go skiing, yeah, you can't, you know, so anyways, yeah.
It's funny because since the exercise we did earlier with the seeing the galaxy, if you want to see it.
Yeah, isn't that great?
I feel like I'm bilocating.
Yeah.
I'm there and here at the same time.
Yeah, this should stay with you for a while,
Yeah.
but you will return.
Yeah.
You know, it's, yes. Did you have something? No? Okay. Any other questions? Hey, this was fun, thank you. I
Yes,
appreciate
thank
it.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Wow, we're early, what are we gonna do? It's half past,
Hey, you got I don't know, we could do a round robin of questions, and we could answer.
well, you bet. We can, what does it feel like? I'm kind of spaced out as well. I'm
Should we
at
take a
halfway around
break?
the solar system. I don't know.
Can we ask some questions?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's say you cross the bridge. Can you like have telepathy, or like do you have some extras abilities? Are they possible, or?
They can get better. I think everybody's got a little telepathy, but yeah, they're like skills. You see, we're out of shape as beings. We haven't exercised our capabilities. We've been thinking we're bodies. And so yeah, you can get better at this. What kind of state can you get? I don't know. You can communicate to animals and people. My telepathy is much better than it used to be, right? Yeah.
I'll try and answer this question a little bit. Maybe Jim and I can kind of do a little double act here, because I've been doing quite a lot of this over the years. My understanding of this is that what this does, it doesn't add anything in. You see, it gets stuff out of the way. And it gets stuff out of the way that then allows you to be you. It takes the brakes off. It doesn't make the engine any bigger. You've got a big engine already. It unsticks the brakes so you can naturally use all the power of your own engine. Look at it that way. And so what that means is that if you've got any natural abilities, let's say that you're a natural musician, or you're naturally creative, or you're a natural inventor who's going to invent tape recorders and things in the 18th century, it gets the blocks out of the way that then enables you to do that thing that you want to do more easily. It's as simple as that. So if you're naturally telepathic, you're going to get more telepathic. If you're naturally interested in playing the piano, you'll be a better piano player. If you're a natural little mountain climber when you're a kid, then you're going to be a great mountain climber when you're an adult. Or if you want to be, if you want to be a leader and you've got mental blocks about that, then it'll help you to be a leader. So it'll empower you towards your own purpose. It won't naturally make you anything at all that somebody else wants you to be. It helps you to be what you want to be and takes the brakes off. So if you're not the tiniest bit telepathic to start off with, it probably won't help very much. But if you've got a bit of that ability, then it'll take you as far as you want to go, because it just removes all the barriers. Does that kind of make sense?
Yeah, but I mean, aren't we all telepathic by nature or something, as spiritual beings? But we just need to, just like you said, to take off the brakes or to the blockages.
We just assist you. You are what you are. You got everybody, and the Bill of Rights says everybody's created equal. I don't think so. I think everybody's probably created unequal because everybody's an individual, but we should have equal rights, right? That's how they should have worded the Constitution. Well, now I'm getting into my own opinions, but but you see, I don't think one person is the same as any other person.
And thank goodness for that. We're all different.
Right.
So,
Boring,
Yeah.
Some people are inventors, and some of us are musicians, and some of us are dancers, and some of us are leaders. We don't want all of us to be everything. Then because you've got to have different playing positions on the football field or whatever it is, so that everyone can work together doing whatever they want to do. And that's what makes a civilization, everyone doing their specialist thing, everyone doing what they want to do.
In some of the research I've done, just I didn't mean to interrupt you, but it's called your energy signature or energy ray, and I think there's 7. So depending on what your strengths are, you fall under that ray of light. And then of course, everybody has their own unique spectrum based on what their skill sets are. So when you're looking at people and you're seeing them reincarnate into different roles, you'll see some that are like maybe strong. I think energy ray, the first one is those who have leaderships. So those are your military people. Or you'll see other ones that are different ray, energy strength, and it'll be like an architecture, engineer. So they kind of fall under certain categories is my understanding. And you can kind of see this happening once you get to know who somebody was in more than one life, because you'll see that energy ray show up in what they're doing. So it's there's a book called Origin of the Soul that's written by Dr. Walter Semke that explains that. And I find it fascinating because I can take what he's written already through his readings with Kevin and apply it to cases that I'm doing to see if it matches what they're saying.
This is the original, that is Elena Blavatsky.
It's the one.
Elena Blavatsky.
Oh, okay.
Put that up.
Blavatsky,
Yeah.
Okay.
So Jim, you said this is a prison planet.
It does appear it has been that way for a while, yeah.
And do you think there's a solution for that?
Yeah, I think we need to regain our abilities and get the hell off the damn, break out of the damn joint. That's what I think we gotta do.
Or unprison the planet.
I mean,
It's a
in a
beautiful
way,
planet.
the prison is an illusion, but us spiritual beings have bought a lot of lies. So really, in a way, we have to get the lies off. Truth will set you free. It just happens to be hard work sometimes. And we've been everything, you know. I have pretty good recall on what I've done for many, many, many millennia, and so we've probably done just about everything, and we have but deep down, you are who you are, and yeah, you're not energy, you're life. You can create energy. You can create, you know. In fact, we have a word called postulation, which is kind of like to bring forth an idea, an active idea. Postulates, it's kind of it's like a mathematical word, but we've taken some of this because you had to get a little delineation. So you can postulate energy. And that's like you say, I got to make $100 today. Yeah, if you get right down and dirty, you'll probably make $100. I mean, it's if you don't have any blocks. And
manifestation.
Yeah, and yeah, may have to work through other people, and you may have to do other things. But if your intention is good and your postulate's clear, you probably are going to get what you intend. And so this is what we do around here. We get rid of the blocks, because a game is basically an activity that has purposes, barriers, and freedoms. So you got to have a purpose. You got to have freedom. If you got no freedom, it's kind of hard to have a game. And you got to have
something to work against.
Yeah, barriers to a degree. At least what you do is you take barriers and you channel them so that you can get what you want. Instead of them in the way, stopping you, you get rid of those. And it's okay to have a few barriers in life. You use those barriers to channel your purposes. And
Something about the prison planet. This is an interesting possible analogy. I've been interested in Jim's take on this. This has got to do with how circuses deal with elephants. This is maybe a few years ago when elephants were in circuses. And they used to take the baby elephant and they put a big metal clamp around its leg and they'd chain it to some big stake so this little baby elephant couldn't get away. And that's how the baby elephant learned that it was a prisoner, because it was chained with this big thing around its leg. As the elephant grew, they kept the metal ring around its leg, but it didn't need a chain anymore because it still had the metal thing around its leg. And so it thought it still had a chain. And as long as that elephant had this big metal clamp around its leg, it felt it was a prisoner, and it didn't try and run away.
I noticed this with dogs, one in particular that I had. She always, in California, there's a leash law and you always need to have a collar on them. She had that on her whole life, and if it ever came off, and once in a while it would just fall off, she would really try to get it back on. Even though she didn't need it, I would never put a leash on her. But she had that collar on, I called it her necklace, and she liked it on.
She was a rescue animal. We rescued her, so I always felt like that was her home. It was her security blanket. It was like that collar. When you got the collar, because you have to put them on, And I think that she felt like
That was your.
that was her claim, like, oh, I
I
have
like
my
that,
family now,
'cause you
like,
take them off and they're like, what are you doing, that's mine.
do I have to go back?
Yeah.
Put
Put
prison?
it back on.
So it's kind of the opposite with her, she was a special
Sorry
dog,
about
But the analogy is the same, these people tend to be their own prisoners
yeah.
and each other's jailers. Yeah, and, but as you just discovered through that space expansion process that you did, you can go way outside of the system, there wasn't anything stopping you from leaving the planet there. It's just that most people don't do that, and most people don't realize they can do that. Yeah. So they stay, like the big elephant, they stay within the surface and then go running down the road, because they don't think they can. Would you agree
Oh,
with that?
without question. I mean, you look at like good old Pavlov, you know, I mean, the animals are mostly reactive, you know, they might have a little analyzers, the smarter ones. The analyzer is probably, there is to a degree, some kind of spirit there that thinks. And then you know, if you beat the animal enough, it almost seems like it goes on automatic, and it becomes kind of like a cowed creature, and because it's pain driven. The pain bypasses the analyzer, and so humans. I read a report on monkeys where they had a group of monkeys. They had bananas, and as the monkeys climbed, they'd spray them with a hose, and all the monkeys would get all wet, and they got treated so that they could never climb the stairs to get the bananas, and then they get rid of one, and a new monkey comes in, and it sees the bananas, and the other monkeys would attack it because it would not allow that monkey, because they thought if that monkey tries to go up, they're going to get sprayed, and so they get rid of all the other monkeys, and it actually goes in a generational thing. So it's all pictures, and the pictures are like, you can't do that, you're stopped. So once you view this stuff, hey, screw this, I can do this. You got to change your mind. That's why I had asked sometimes, was there a decision, or like a posture, did you make some kind of decision here that might have affected your life for the rest of your life? And you get rid of, oh yeah, I said, I can never do that. So, well, okay, good. Well, you still think that? No, I think I can do it now. I mean, it's about that simple. It's about that simple. Anyway.
Constance mentioned about she being shown the planet blowing up.
Yeah, that was interesting.
Yeah, that's the potential.
It's like a warning.
Yeah.
I think we can change the future, but it's a potential future. And I think we all, maybe we're probably a pretty select group to hear such a story, because Bill has a similar one, and so that's rather interesting that we know this, and we've heard it now from two different sources, and maybe they're trying to tell us that we better do something about this stuff. I mean, the planet is like 2 minutes to midnight here. I mean, or is it 1 minute to midnight? I don't know, man. Maybe the clock got set back on this Korean war thing, but hey, it's too close.
It's 2 minutes to midnight according to the Bulletin of Atomic Scientists.
Too damn close for me, don't you think? I mean, and I hate to tell you this, but we have been through this before. We have blown up this dirt ball a couple times. But life lives. Life lives anyway. Life goes on, and where we last far longer than the material universe, because we're life. Anyways, getting a little philosophical here. Anyways.
I was gonna say something about the prison planet thing.
Yeah, go for it.
I always avoided the prison planet thing, and like basically I refused to allow it into my philosophy because it's kind of disempowering, and I want to always think that as a soul, we have a choice. If we're gonna be here, then we knew what we were getting into, and that there is no such thing as a prison planet as long as you factor in the free will that we came here on purpose, but I will say though that some of the stuff John Lear brings up, at first I wanted to discount, but I found that some of his prison planet stuff comes from Bob Lazar. When Bob Lazar was in Area 51, he had access to something called Project Yellow Book, which was some kind of top secret document. And Bob Lazar said that there was some type of soul recycling technology on the moon, and that is what kept us coming back here, and it was some type of ET technology. And I'm pretty sure that's why John Lear gravitated towards Lou Baldwin's information so much, because Lou Baldwin says the same thing, and then Lou Baldwin has like the equivalent of like past life memory in the sense that he remembers these ETs doing this, and he has interactions with them now and says that's what they're doing.
Yeah, you can run all that out.
I'm just saying, like, that's kind of being so specific makes me then pause and think, man, maybe that is the case, you know?
You ever talked to him? You should talk to him.
Have you?
Yeah, he makes himself very available.
So how'd that go?
They went extremely well.
So what'd he tell you?
Well, I asked him about his stuff.
Okay, what kind of, what did
It's
he?
just everything he writes in his books. So it's all the same stuff, but he's very accessible, so if you want to talk to him, he'll talk to you. But
I don't know if I want to talk to him.
yeah, it's just, but you have to ask him what you want to know. For me, it was just more of confirmation of what he was actually suggesting, and I was just asking based on what I had read. You know, he confirmed that that's exactly, he wrote it as he lived it, and so, but he does talk to the general public, if you reach out.
Like, the whole Dr. Malenga stuff that Human does the post on in the, what is it, Horace Raw, the archrotic parasite thread. That Dr. Malenga stuff is based on people getting abducted, having their soul pulled out of one body, put in another, and then sent back down to Earth. And that's the stuff Lou Baldwin says. Lou Baldwin says, like, everybody at 3 years old gets their soul pulled out of their body and put it in another body and put back on Earth. That is crazy stuff. I don't want to think that's true.
I don't think
Did you say everybody?
Everybody,
That's
every
not
single
true.
one of us,
It's
you
not
know?
true.
Nah, I haven't observed that. I've watched a lot of
No, that's
people,
bullshit.
but every now and then that can happen, sure.
Yeah.
The Carla Turner stuff, though, agrees with
These
it.
things,
Well, I had a contact experience.
these things can happen, and weird things can happen to people, weird things can happen to planets and populations. Just about anything you can think of to put in a science fantasy movie can probably happen. But I think the overriding message that Jim is conveying, which I would support here, is that we don't have to be constrained by that. There are ways, as pure spiritual beings, that we can transcend all of that and just step right outside it and just walk through the prison gate. We can walk through the prison walls, you know, I mean, we can do that as individuals. It's not necessarily easy, in my personal opinion. It takes a bit of work to do that. It takes a bit of commitment to do that. It takes a belief that you can do that. That's something that Jerry Wills was telling us, those of you who heard us, who heard him last week, you know. Just try believing that you're Superman and then see what happens. Just try it. You know, try believing that you can do stuff, and then you never know what might become available to you. But there are a lot of things that are working against all of us humans here. That's for sure. We're up against some strange things.
See, it's funny because I think you can point the telescope either way. Like, we can kind of attach ourselves to that concept of going out. Like, I spent my few years on the equivalent of a mountain in Ecuador by myself, just working on this kind of stuff. And for me, it was never going out. It was activating levels of our energy body that are normally dormant. Yep. And so it was all about, as you activate certain parts of yourself, this world we're in becomes different. This world itself is really not what we're perceiving. And so in that sense, a prison planet is a locking in of our perception. And if we are able to expand that perception to include the other entities living on this planet, not locked into this life we live, I think that in itself is freedom. You don't have to leave the planet. You don't have to go anywhere, you know? But it's hard. It's hard to do that. It's hard to live in everyday life and be everyday sociable and live in the relationships you live in and have that kind of commitment, you know?
Yeah, that's right.
I think everybody's kind of touched that too, and that's what they're looking for. Stuff.
Yeah, because then you get dumped back here and you're like, what the hell? You're so expansive in other places, you know, you just dump back up. That's hard.
It is hard. And
What you
everybody's
described
touched
there,
on it.
Marcus, was what I actually said exactly that story in an interview which I did about my life back in 2011. Because when I was a teenager, when I was a kid, I wanted to be an astrophysicist. That was what I was reading astrophysics books when I was 13, when all the other kids were going out and partying. Because I thought that the answer to life, the universe, and everything was to look through a telescope and figure it out by seeing what I could see through the telescope. I wanted to be a cosmologist. And then when I got a bit older, I realized that you got to turn the telescope around. You got to look inside. And is Steve here? Steve?
I'm right here.
Yeah, there you are. Cat Stevens used to sing "The Answer Lies Within." One of my favorite songs from the '60s, and it does. The answer lies within.
Yeah, it does. You got to look. We have a word called "as is." It's a very cool word. You got to see it as it is, and it basically connotates truth. And the definition of truth is the exact time, form, place, and event. So you've got to, if you want to get to truth, you got to see it as it is, everything without alteration, and then you get, and that blows it. It's amazing. It's a very powerful thing, and so yeah, that intense observation which you do, and you can't have somebody else telling you how to look. I just can tell you, take a look, but I can't tell you what to look at, really, or how to look at it, other than that, look at it pretty damn thoroughly.
And you can't tell someone what they're going to see.
And when they see it, poof, I mean, it changes things. It blows the barriers and the stops, and then life force seems to, life force releases, and so you get a little bit of yourself back, and it is a gradient process. Some processes give you more back to yourself than others. It depends.
Constance was just nodding that. What are you nodding about?
Oh, because I've had that extraterrestrial presence with me ever since I started that session. I stopped that session. Just.
Oh, it stayed with you?
Yeah, it's with me now.
You got an ability?
Yeah.
Cool. Nice.
Very good. Maybe still there, huh?
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah, abilities come back. That's sweet. That's nice when that happens. Now, it's just, you know, like anything, you got to work at it. It takes a while to learn how to play the piano. Anyways. Yeah.
Does everybody here, we're kind of like talking and touching on some things that we all obviously might believe or lead us or step us somewhere in life, because we're all talking about turning it around and looking within for whatever reason, whatever you're looking for. But do you all have techniques that you use beyond your form? Do you have a technique that you look within? And do you all practice that same thing at the same time at any time? And is that important? Is a technique important to experience or to move beyond or to be in the now or to call the reality? Do you have a technique that you can share?
Can I just say, I think it's whatever works for you. I don't think there's like one, we all kind of want to do things the same way because then it feels comfortable and we feel like we're going down the right path. But just over the time when I've listened to people's different stories, they're all taking different paths, but it kind of feels like they're kind of coming to the same spot, even though they're taking different paths. So that's what I would tell you. What works for me might not work for you. So once you zero in on something that you can't let it go, really focus on that, because I would bet my life that's where your path is. And so then you get to enjoy what everybody's path is and see what they do, but find the one that works and feels right. Whatever resonates or vibrates, and you feel that vibrancy and you're like, God, why is that fascinating me? Really pay attention to that. And I think that's your answer. That's what I would say.
I've just found so many things in my path that
It's overwhelming.
that are just extremely wonderful.
Yeah.
And that I've collected and use still to this day in my life. And I mean, I could just make lists of them, and many people that I've seen and have actually given lecture and actually inspired so many people that you walk away and you're like, aha, I can use this on my journey. And then maybe the other people in the room are like, aha, I can use this. And yeah, it's individual, of course, but at the same time, it's kind of cool if you can like relate in a language with one another and share and hold hands sometimes to like maybe even inspire another or welcome another or carry another. Sometimes you might not need to be carried because of some kind of trauma, some kind of accident, some kind of health problems. You know, I'm just always so curious if anyone could just like, one of you could just be like, you know what, it's this, and we could all just be like,
I think the one,
We're all different cookies cut.
I had a Scientologist friend who introduced me to that technique, the one you essentially started with. It just works perfectly for me, just kind of step back 3 feet, and now you're looking at yourself, and it's amazing how it's like everything changes.
It was wonderful.
Well, not, whether wonderful or not, it just allows you to not be in that horrible moment if it's a horrible thing happening. And all of a sudden, all pain goes away, and then so you can just see things, I think, as is.
So use that itself as a tool right there.
Yeah, and I've tried this on my children, and it works perfectly every time. Every time that they're like
You step away from the problem, not the problem.
And 3 feet is enough. More than that could be too much. I don't know, but I don't know why this 3 feet works.
I don't know either, it's an arbitrary, we could probably push you out 5 feet.
Yeah, I think that maybe that's too much remote control.
2 feet?
Maybe it's the number 3.
I don't know.
I don't think there's a significance.
Just enough.
How do you like to test the water? You like to stick your foot in, or you like to shove somebody else in and see if it's cold?
I guess if you're a whale, you need to step out 6 feet.
About 50% can go out with 3 feet back your head, and quite a few of the other percent can go out with trying not to be 3 feet.
Yeah.
Because part of the trap is what they call a reverse vector, and that reverse vector is you really going for it, but the physical universe gives you the opposite. And the way to overcome that is you get your emotional tone way up. When you're like, way up there, feeling really in action and above, and it's really great, and then you blow that reverse vector. So that's a little trick. That's one of the nice things when you're really out of tone. It's, you can blow the reverse vector trap. Yeah, and that's part of the trap, by the way, the reverse vector.
Can you just repeat it for me?
There appears to be a phenomenon, and it deals with flows, energy flows, and you want something real bad, but the opposite happens. There's a reverse vector. It's like there's part of this. It's kind of like we're in a little bit of a trap, and we had a lot to do with it, to be quite honest. But if you're really doing well in life and way happy, you can oftentimes get around that reverse vector.
You mean desire, it's desire, don't you?
Well, part of it is there's so much, when you get a lot of effort on something, that reverse vector thing can kick in.
Right.
If you really desperately want somebody to love you, then they probably will.
Right, desire.
If you allow it to happen, then who knows what might happen. And like the essence of desire that really manifests something is something very light. It's something very light. It's not this heavy thing, I've got to have this, I've got to have this, then it probably won't work.
It becomes obsessive.
Because it's heavy.
I use the verbiage of attachment and detachment.
Yeah.
People want to be so attached to everything and react in such a manner because they're so attached to their opinions, and it just helps to detach. It helps to detach from yourself and your own opinions and your own paradigms, in order for you to move forward and progress. Like earlier you were saying, like, what are some ways that I can develop and go along this route. And me and Armin were talking last night, and we had this really interesting conversation where he was talking about how, like, I would experience all this stuff, like, you know, I've read some of this and some of these experiences, how do I experience that? And I'm like, well, I don't know, but in the same token, he's like, we got the conversation progressed, and he talked about how easily he astrally projects. And I'm like, I can't astrally project. I did it like once or twice on accident in my life, and I have absolutely no ability at it, none. Like, I'm a third eye guy. Like, I'm all about staying in the body, like, and manipulating my own energy, and being able to, like, you know, see what's going on around me. The deeper I go, the more cool things I can see around me. That's not his deal. His deal is, like, he easily, like, follows those Robert Monroe techniques of astrally projecting. I think kind of maybe you need to look at yourself and say what comes more naturally. I think if you fall into one of those categories, and there's probably more. We were just talking last night, and so I'm communicating it now. But there might be something you have a natural affinity for, and I would say go in that direction, you know?
Do you think that there's power in numbers? Do you think that a group of people can be more powerful when
Absolutely.
they're together?
We all have attention.
Trying to use some tools or something to have
Like,
something
we're
happen?
to put somebody in the middle of this room and ask them to start talking about something. The more we all captivate our attention upon them, the better they'll be able to speak and present this. And the more they'll be able to come up with amazing things to tell us. Some people, you know, find themselves captivated in this attention, and they're not able to give it up because it's so good feeling yourself being captivated inside the attention of so many wonderful people. But yeah, absolutely. You know, the more people you have and the more attention you have, yeah, it's a powerful thing.
So, you know, if we're like discussing the world blowing up and you're seeing that and we're all wanting to help, maybe, I'm just wondering, like, well, what do we do?
The overall solution to humanity's plight, if that's the question you're asking.
I don't know.
Well, more
I
like,
don't know if I'm asking
you and other folks have had visions of the earth on fire or blowing up or in trouble. And to some degree, if you got everybody in this room to really hold that thought tight, maybe we would all see that. And maybe that is part of your work. I'm just throwing a guess out there.
Can I throw something out there? When I had my Kundalini experience, I realized like 20 plus years later, once I realized what happened, that it was, for me at least, I perceived it to be the solution. And what it got me thinking is systems aren't gonna fix things. Your body is an energy form. And what I saw of it is, if you focus on changing the energetic foundation of a reality, that might be the answer to what you're looking for as far as changing a reality and going in the proper direction. And realizing that your body's energy, your thoughts are energy. Well, what frequency are they vibrating at? Am I making higher vibrational choices? So maybe that's a way it can have an effect. And then when you get more and more people doing it, it even has a greater effect. And we know that from the studies of, the GOES satellites that Greg Brady talks about, how they can see that shifting going on. Like, I think it was right before 9/11, they had those GOES satellites up and they were able to get the readings, and they could almost tell something was gonna happen right before the planes started crashing into the building. So for me, that was like, I felt like I was sitting on the solution all this time, but I was missing pieces of the puzzle. So I would say to you, anything energetically that you do with your bodies and getting involved with people that are going in that direction and have the same, you know, belief systems in that sense, that could be the way, so.
Yeah, or being with good company, I think that's the essence of it.
I think that
Being a good
if you want to help the
company,
world, help the people who are in your immediate sphere.
That's a good gradient.
Yeah.
That's an excellent gradient, and then you expand outward, and reality is agreement, remember, and so let's change the forget agreement. You know, it's obviously a contrived paradigm that the news media and this planet is, they're mocking this up. We don't have to agree. And just a small group like this, we don't agree. And that is not the way it is. I mean, right there, if you're holding the line, and then you expand out, you keep holding the line. You keep holding the line and expanding.
And what's the energy they try to keep us in? Fear.
It's all illusion.
They keep you in fear.
That's
because it
right.
holds
It's
a
an
vibrational
illusion.
frequency.
It's part of them
Yeah.
trying to. They don't want you to go 3 times bigger than this solar system. They want you to stay like a tiny little quarter size.
It's a chain around the elephant's leg.
Yeah. They want to don't let the monkeys get the bananas. They you know, and that's about it. And really, they're rather nasty, these people. And we don't have to agree with nasty people.
There's a counterpart to what you were saying, Marcus, I think, as well, that like the corollary to it, that if you're having a tough time, or if you're feeling a bit sick, or if anyone's feeling a bit down or struggling with problems, then just hang out with good people. That'll lift you up, that'll fix a lot. Just that. Just hang out with those good people. And if you're having a lot of trouble and it won't shift, and then you look around in your life and you think, well, actually, there's some rather dark energy around these people that I'm working with, or maybe even in my family or whatever. Then just think about insulating yourself from those influences. Because sometimes it'll fix itself. The people around you are really light and healthy. Would you agree with that?
Yeah,
Absolutely.
absolutely.
I have a comment from your first question. What can we all have? And to me, the way I see it is name the intention and let go. Name the intention again and let go. And again and again and again. And the reason I wanted you to repeat what you were saying is that I just realized right now I'm too driven sometimes. When I make the intention, but that's it, you know, and I'm too driven and I don't let go enough, and then I have the rebound, and I have never realized that. So thank you.
Hey, if you know the hole's there, you don't have to fall in it.
Yeah.
Good.
Also,
Yeah, very good.
to add what Bill was offering, nature is also very healing. You know, I think those who went out last night, just, you know, even just a little bit out of town, it can help, you know, help recenter you. You mentioned, you were talking about techniques earlier. There's a couple things I found interesting that I've tried, and actually it's been a long time since I've tried a couple of them, but while I was practicing them, they were pretty fun. If I need to kind of center myself, I have just a very easy meditation where it's almost like a personal temple. It's I imagine myself in the mountains. I come up to the top of a mountaintop, and there's like a cave going down into the rock, into the solid rock. And then when I get down into a cavern, and there's just a natural little stone altar there, some burning torches around in this little cavern. It's totally in my mind, it's not a real place, but it's somewhere I can go. And I just, you know, if I need to just center myself, I imagine myself going there. And then after I spend some time in there, just reflecting and just calming myself down, there's another exit on the other side. And when I go out the other side, a lot of times I'm in different places, and it surprises me every time where I come out. It's almost like what's that in the Matrix? They open the doors and they go to just, you know, mountaintops or, you know, deserts or something. You know, and I think that human beings are really amazing. They can do so many great things. We know this from artists and musicians, and you know, I think even like the Greeks had a tradition of they would memorize the entire Iliad, and someone could word for word verbatim recite it. People would gather around in the evenings and listen to them, and that was their profession. They spent their entire life dedicated to remembering that story. And there was like a memory practice that I tried for a little bit, and I've given up on. I haven't had a straight keep up on it. It's like kind of like bouncing around a little bit here. Russell talks about, you know, remote viewing, that anybody can do it, you know, and you just let the images that surprise you come in, that just work on that and you'll get better at it. So one of the techniques I would try is, you get like anything, like a cup or a stone or something like that. You spend a few minutes looking at it and just taking in all of the specific shapes, because you'll surprise yourself. If you set it down and don't look at it and try to remember, like, well, were there 4 diamonds and were they blue and purple, and then there was your actually memory isn't really that good. You take it out and like, oh yeah. If you spend some time just practicing that, like look at something for a few minutes, then put it away, wait 5 minutes, try to recollect exactly those details, you'll find that there's an ability and a skill that could be developed there. And eventually, you'll get pretty good. And just as you move around through your life, you'll notice things and details about your, and it's different than like intuition or a psychic sense. It's a skill, like a type of memory. So it almost seems psychic to other people, where they ask you, like, well, what was that thing? And, oh yeah, it was, the number was 6458. And it just seems amazing to people that, well, I think reading, for me, I spent a lot of time in my life doing a lot of reading. You mentioned Blavatsky earlier. The Secret Doctrine and Isis Unveiled, both are just amazing works, especially for the time that you put that together. I'm blown away. I don't understand how somebody would do that.
Cocaine.
There's
those authors back then were all doing cocaine, man.
There's a similar
I swear
practice.
I can read it when I read Blavatsky, man.
There's a similar practice that could be done. You'd be surprised of how much you don't retain if you're studying. If you sit down and you go 3 or 4 hours at once, and it's just, especially that type of writing, there's a lot of detail to it, and it's just like you kind of spend a lot of time and lost it all. So one of the techniques would be to spend just 5 minutes reading, and then see if you can recite what you just read. Did you digest the information? If you were asked to explain it to somebody, could you even say it out loud? And again, you'd be surprised how much you actually forgot about what you just read. And I think that's why we maybe get a lot of joy about reading books over and over again, because you find those things that you've forgotten. But this is all, like I said, human beings are very interesting, and I think it's as we grow, because there's a spiritual evolution that's concurrent with the physical evolution. And as we grow, we're gaining more and more ability. We're taking more and more control over ourselves and our own evolution. And you can kind of see it like there's, if you look at a stone to a vegetable to an animal to a human to whatever up above it, you can see these lines of growth. Like a stone maybe even would have a type of sensation, just a vague sense of pressure. The plants that grow towards the sunlight, and animals, obviously, you can get that corollary. And I think that's what's so interesting about, not only about human beings, but what's also so interesting about this planet. I think this, for me, this planet is very interesting to other types of entities, and I think that they do come here because there's a lot of mystery, and there's a lot of really cool things that are going on here, and especially right
here. They live here. A lot of them live here. I mean, we could transition. You talked about Blavatsky, which makes me think about Theosophy, which makes me think about Frederick Spencer's Dweller in Two Worlds. So then I think about Mount Shasta, where are there supposed to be folks living under Mount Shasta? What do you think about that, Bill? Are there folks under Shasta?
I'm not. Hey, Susie and I camped out on Shasta, and we heard this thump noise all night.
Yeah, it was like a train going through the mountain.
I've heard that from other people that live there.
I mean,
on the
I never heard a sound like that. It was a machine of some kind. It was deep.
Do you think they're drilling there?
I think they lived in there. I mean, what were they, Lemurians? Was that what they were? Anyways, yeah, they're around.
But I don't think they're also under the ground.
Yeah.
I'm walking proof that I'm standing right in front of you. I was an ET, and I'm very comfortable with the evidence. So if I am, who else is up here incarnating over and over again?
Well, dear, you're a spiritual being, you're not an
Right.
ET, you're not a human.
But there was an
But we
ET
take
life.
different forms.
Right, there's an ET life, and that's my point. If I'm doing it, if people in my soul group are doing it, there's tons doing it, they just haven't come to realize yet.
That's right.
So that's why Bigelow said they're right under your noses. I just showed you the President of the United States. Everybody wants the ETs to land on the lawn. Well, guess what? They're not on the lawn, they're in the White House. James Mattis was Secretary of Defense in the White House, that's Apollo. They're in the White House.
Yeah.
I think it's funny.
Yeah, I definitely think Melania's fun. Yeah, I mean, she's got those eyes, man. Anyways. She's a babe. Anyway. But yeah, they're okay. Yeah, they're all over.
Right.
I mean, and they're amongst us, sure. I mean.
They're not hiding under the ground
But
necessarily.
what was that thing
But
that?
they can be under the ground too.
Right.
Right.
They're all over.
And it's a different thing from incarnating into our culture and then being in an ET culture or being in a different civilization that doesn't partake of our rules or our limitations, you know, which I think is fabulous to think about.
Didn't Wilcox say he had data that there was a lot of them living in paradise? Isn't it weird that whole town was destroyed? Now, but
Well, Bill, what? You're shaking your head.
Hey, I don't want to bring him up, but the point is, it is what it is. But one of the funny things that there was, I know you're not into Q either, but it's all data sources. It's all data sources. And there was a picture of Trump with a couple other people in a cemetery, and on one of the statues was an infinity symbol of some, you know,
It
like
was
a
in a
burial
graveyard,
plot.
in a graveyard.
In a graveyard,
Yeah.
and it was an infinity. Now, I've never seen an infinity symbol on a grave, a tomb before.
Well, you can't tell everybody we all come back and back and back. They know, so they can just.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's all speculation, but it's interesting. I mean, we've had a Space Force for a long time. Hell, I think we've had it since the '70s when I was in the Air Force. Anyways, but it's that's speculation.
Well, maybe this would be a good time to give you the NASA Social Security numbers. I'm really curious as whether anybody can make heads or tails of something that I stumbled on a page. I don't know if I should be saying this, but anyway, I stumbled on this NASA page that I've never found again. I had put my Social Security number in, and there was nothing but 9 pages of Social Security numbers. And I've got it in there. It's nasa.gov, blah, blah, what. One of them is mine, but that's it. That's all that's there. And I'm just curious if anybody else is on there or what's going on.
I'll look at it.
Yeah.
Because I think you're from my soul group, so it'd be interesting to see if I could do, like, is my husband on there?
I don't know what it is, but I printed it out and I saved a copy. I just think it's really weird. That's all.
It's very weird that it's not available anymore.
Well, but that's all it was it wasn't like you pulled it up and it had a headline that said NASA, whatever. It was just I don't know the terminology, but when I clicked on it, it was just 9 pages of Social Security numbers in rows.
Is this NASA or NSA? Which one?
It's NASA. NASA, I'll show it to you.
It was on their main website.
No, it wasn't on a website. I pulled it out
It's
my
on
social-
NASA.gov, I've seen the document.
Wasn't on their website. I put my Social Security number into the computer just to see.
Oh, like
what
in a
was
search
on it.
engine? You did it in a
Yeah.
search engine?
And then this page came up and I counted the rows.
That's freaking
It's
creepy.
approximately 9,000 Social Security numbers, just in rows. That's it. I'll show it. It's weird. I'm just curious, like, why would my Social Security number be on there?
No longer Social Security numbers were legal.
It's bizarro. Who wants to see it? You can pass it around.
Yeah, I'd like to see the
Can we put the light, is there a way to?
Yeah,
turn that up?
that is
I mean, there
terrible.
were
I've been
millions
dying to
of
ask, somebody that might know what the hell this is.
They're sort of in order, but not really in order.
But look at the what, that's what I told NASA.gov, blah, 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 blah. I mean, you can never find that again. I tried to do it again and it doesn't come up. In error, what is it, like, something.
Like it wasn't supposed to be in there.
Yeah. That's all it is.
So the Paradise Fires got brought up. Does anybody have an opinion on what Paradise Fires are? Is it just what they're saying? Cause
Okay.
Too many anomalies.
right.
Way too many anomalies. It seems increasingly to me that there's microwave weaponry.
What's that?
Microwave weaponry sometimes really does look.
So you think it's the Agenda 21 thing? Don't know.
Okay.
Are they just testing stuff out to see how good it works, or?
I don't know.
Did somebody go insane, or was it to show what kind of weaponry we got?
Right.
Or what?
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah.
What are y'all talking about?
The whole Paradise.
Maybe that would be the next.
I was talking, about a couple weeks ago, there was a PG&E, Portland General Electric inspector, and I was talking to him, and he said that he was, he was called for 12 different inspections for house fires that the people said were reported by smart meters. He said he went out on all 12, and his conclusion was the smart meter did cause the house fires. He was moved to a different part of, into a different part, and he was replaced with somebody else. So I said to him, because we talked a little bit about the Paradise Fire, and I said, well, I saw a guy make a Faraday cage, and he put it, he checked for IMF radiation first, and there was IMF radiation. He put the Faraday cage over it, and it was stopped. And he goes, yeah, we'll stop it until they turn it on and fries your brain. Don't know, but that came from a Portland General Electric inspector who claims that all 12 fires that he investigated were smart meter fires.
Well,
Don't know, you know, take it with,
more people are getting aware of it, but I don't know if they're gonna stop it, 5G, but hey, there's I mean, you know, but more people are getting aware of it. I guess that's one of the things you can do.
It's 4:30.
Yeah.
It's 4:30. What do you think we should do?
Constance, you might want to call and just reconfirm that those reservations are solid.
When is this dinner supposed to be? What time?
6
o'clock.
Maybe we can just take
And
a
how are we
break
getting there?
until
And what
6.
is the
Hey,
plan?
I'm throwing this out there too. My wife went on the boat today, and she said they do a little riverboat cruise for like $12, and they have drinks and stuff on there you buy it. She said, you know, if we have a couple hours to fill tomorrow, we might think about it.
Do we want to,
Sounds like it would be a nice way of getting out.
Some air.
Get some air, some nature.
Everyone better bring a hat or sunglasses. I just tried to walk along the
just-
river and I felt like I was like a vampire. My eyes were like.
I
Very bright out there.
I just found something very interesting.
Everyone thinks that they walk each way.
That's, I'm getting ready to do mine too.
And I realized that the Canadian
How are we
Social
getting there?
Security have the same coding. They
The what?
endorsed.
Same
Why
way
are we
gathering.
on the same
Same way in our
coding? Why do we have 9 numbers like you, and why are we listed the same way?
Yeah, so
We're
we're
not the
like,
same,
we're
we're not the
not
same country. Why is it North American
I said it's
states?
6.
That's my.
I thought Canada was just another state in the United States.
They don't know that.
We should get the address to this, the name of this place.
So our budget is more like touch into the, and could you give us the address of the
Denise